What's happening, everybody, on the new all-day Rumble stream? I gotta be honest, I wasn't sure how this was gonna work, but I'm liking it. I think I'm liking the way this works. Let's pop that big old live chat up there. How is everybody doing today on this Monday, March 31st? 2025. My name is Kevin Smith. Thank you all so much for tuning in to Loud Majority Live here at 1 p.m. Rumble.com/LFATV. We are going to be throwing it to the White House in just a little bit. President Trump set to sign a new batch of executive orders. We will bring you all those updates as they happen. So make sure you keep it locked in here. Keep it locked in here for all that good stuff. I want to shout out everybody watching me for the first time. Thank you, Jeremy, for the handoff. As always, shout out to everybody new in the chat. We're going to be talking a lot about this today. We're going to be talking a lot about Florida. We're going to be talking a lot about Wisconsin. If you know people, Florida 1, Florida 6, or in the totality of the state of Wisconsin, get out and vote. Special elections for the Supreme Court in Wisconsin. Special elections to fill the Matt Gaetz seat in Florida 1 and the Mike Walls seat in Florida 6. We cannot lose these seats. Get out, vote. I mean this. I'm telling you, saying it loud and clear. I don't want to hear election fraud. I don't want to hear but the machines. I don't want to hear but this. I don't want to hear power outages. I want to hear you filling up your car with voters, bringing them to the polls. That is how we win. I'm jacked up today. I want to say hello to everybody watching chat. Let me know. Are you new to the Loud Crowd? Are you new to the Loud Majority right here on LFA TV? You guys know I love seeing all the new faces. You guys know I love seeing all the new faces. Giddy up, let's go. Giddy up, let's go. Shout out to, let's see, I'll say hello to the regulars first. What's up, Bobby Driver, Arrow Pink, Carol A. Also, big shout out to the New Jersey crowd. I got to meet all of you in New Jersey on Route 17 in Paramus on Saturday. That was awesome. Big pro-Tesla rally. We're going to be talking about those happening all over the country for the National Day of Action that Democrats were having, whatever the hell that meant. All I know is, I got to be honest with you. We have our own collection, our own gaggle of freaks. Let's see. We got the Ultra Right beer in the fridge. Very good. Seth Weathers. Shout out to him for that. We have our own gaggle of freaks here on Long Island, but I got to be introduced to a new gaggle of freaks in New Jersey. That was awesome. That was absolutely awesome. Loved hanging out with you, Vintage Lugal. How are you? Got to meet you. Tired, I got to meet you on Saturday. That was awesome. Shout out to everybody who helped organize that, put that together. Got to meet some of the governor candidates. Who do we vote for in District 1? Whoever the Republican is. I don't know his name. Whoever the Republican is, vote for that guy. That should be fairly easy. Just go right down the Republican line because I don't know who the guy is. I got to be honest with you, but he's better than whatever Democrat it's going to be. So let's jump into the news because I want to make sure we get to everything. As I said, special elections taking place all over the country. This is what today's show is going to be about. Florida, let's see, Florida special election. Give Trump and the GOP leaders more reason to sweat it out. Do I have this from Harry Enton over at CNN? Look, guys, it's all about momentum. I want to be clear. It's about keeping the momentum we have because in politics, if you're not on offense, you're on defense. And these special elections that are going to be happening is something that we all need to seriously take into account. The momentum moving forward is what is going to drive us into the New Jersey governor race, going to drive us into the Virginia governor race in 2025, as well as the midterms in 2026. So, if you're in Wisconsin, if you are in some of these areas, get out, vote. I joke around, vote early, vote often. I'm only kidding about the last part. You all know that because you're smart people. Because you are smart people. Before we dive into all that, guys, this show is brought to you by Old Glory Bank.
What do a neurosurgeon, a country artist, and a television and radio host have in common? They all saw the writing on the wall. Big banks sharing your financial information with big government. Join them as owners in Old Glory Bank, the pro-America online bank that protects your privacy, security, and liberty. Invest today at own.oldglorybank.com.
Guys, check them out today. Head on over to own.oldglorybank.com. That's own.oldglorybank.com. So, special elections, obviously, let's get this happening everywhere. That's weird. In a buoyant address to supporters, this from CNN moments after taking office, President Trump ribbed Speaker Mike Johnson over the number of Republican lawmakers he tapped for administrative posts, vacancies that only tighten the GOP's slender majority. He didn't mind, Trump teased as Johnson played along, and some of the bigger people in the House of Representatives, obviously Matt Gaetz, Elise Stefanik, who ended up going back to her seat, were plucked from the administration. Now, many people out there were very concerned that this would give Johnson a troubling majority in the House. And look, they're absolutely right. Donald Trump wanted who he wanted in those bits of special elections, and it certainly did give Mike Johnson a slimmer majority, which is why it's going to be up to us to do our part. You're going to hear me harp on this for the next 2 days. Get out, vote, do what needs to be done. Bring your friends out. Let's see. Let's pop this up. This from NBC, Steve Kornacki, talking about the election results and what to expect. Oh, nope, wrong one.
About Republicans appear to be concerned about these special elections, particularly the one in Florida next week. What are you watching for? What do the numbers say?
Yeah, let's take a look at both of these districts. And really, it is that you've been talking about it here. Waltz's old district, the 6th. This is where more of the action is in Florida. You see where the two special elections are being held. We're talking about here sort of the area between Jacksonville, Daytona Beach on the coast, and the district now moves a bit inland as well. So the Republican candidate, Randy Fine, the Democrat, Josh Weil. A lot of money has come in nationally, a lot of grassroots money from Democrats who are very keyed in on these special elections here for Weil. And the backdrop, of course, is this is what the presidential result looked like in this district last November, Trump winning it by 30 points. Waltz, for that matter, was reelected by a similar margin last November. So you look at this number and you say, why would Republicans, be a little concerned? Is it about losing the district? That might be a stretch. There's nobody in the House. There's no Democrat in the House who has won in a district like this recently. But would they be embarrassed by a significantly smaller margin than this? That's certainly possible. They wouldn't want that. And the other thing, as you mentioned, talking about Elise Stefanik in her district, the decision for her to stay there, the margin in her district was 20 points. That's the New York district that she represents. Trump won that district by 20. So 30 is an awfully high threshold for Democrats to overcome. When you start talking about 20, it's probably still much too high in a special election for Democrats, but it's lower than this. And if this is making them sweat at all, you can imagine what they would think about turning towards New York 21. And again, the other district where there's action here, this is in the Panhandle. This is Pensacola based here. This really is one of the most Republican districts in Florida. How Republican? Trump's margin here was almost 40 points. So again, Republicans with more of a pad here. You take a look at what we've seen from the early voting. This is just the share of the ballots taken by registered Republicans, by registered Democrats in each of these districts. And you do see, look, for Democrats, that's pretty good in a district like the 1st. But again, that's still a solid Republican advantage. In the 6th, again, that's still a Republican advantage. That's good for the Democrats there, historically speaking. But again, it gets to that question of, is it going to be enough for the Democrats to actually have a chance to win it? These numbers suggest that's still very much a stretch. But again, to get that number down certainly seems possible for them. And the question would become, how much can they get that 30-point Trump margin down? And Kristen, what this really speaks to overall is, I'll just put this up on the screen quickly. We're talking about special elections. Boy, there's a lot of numbers on the screen here. But what these numbers are telling you is that in the last couple of years, in special elections for the House and in lower turnout elections, not like presidential elections where everybody votes, that's where the Democrats have had an advantage. That's where they've overperformed. They've done well. Why? Because it seems that the Democratic base for elections that do not have Donald Trump on the ballot seems more motivated than the Republican base. That was the story going right into the 24 election. It's one of the reasons Democrats had a lot of hope in last November. They thought they had this turnout motivation edge. Didn't turn out to be a thing in November, but it may still very much be a thing in special elections. That's something we could find out on Tuesday.
It'll tell us a lot about where the mood of the country is headed.
They are absolutely right. It's going to tell us a lot where the mood of the country is. So make sure you guys are getting out and doing what needs to be done. I could do an entire show on this. I could do a whole show on this if I really wanted to. You guys, for those of you who are new to the show, you guys know I am commentary second, activism first. So get out there, get early voting. Why? Why do I say this? Well, many times, numerous times, over and over and over again times, I have said that we are in the midst of some sort of second American Civil War. And people always say to me, yeah, you're crazy. Kevin, you're nuts. You're wild. That's not happening. Well, you may not be in the middle of it, but Democrats certainly are. We're getting new reports out of New Mexico that a GOP office was set on fire. And the reason we know that it was radical Democrats who did it is because they graffitied ICE equals KKK on the side of the building. A fire broke out, this from the Post-Millennial, early Sunday morning at the entrance of the Republican Party office in New Mexico. Party officials are calling it arson. Yeah, one would think. Empty buildings tend not to go on fire. Firefighters from Albuquerque Fire Rescue responded to a scene on San Francisco Drive Northeast at 5 minutes to 6 a.m. They found an active fire when they arrived, but were able to put it out within 5 minutes. The front entranceway suffered fire damage and smoke spread throughout the building. No injuries were reported. Graffiti found near the fire that read ICE equals KKK. The chairwoman for the Republican Party of New Mexico condemned the incident, saying that we are deeply relieved that no one was harmed in what could have been a tragic and deadly attack. To those who resort to violence to undermine our state and our nation must be held accountable. Our state leaders must reinforce through decisive action that these cowardly acts will not be tolerated. She also pushed back against the Republican Party's reaction to the incident, saying, quote, at my town, This is Congresswoman Teresa Fernandez, who held a town hall in Santa Fe on Saturday. She pushed back against the Republican Party. At my town hall, I spoke about love in action, whatever the hell that means, and the importance of showing respect and listening. It is a ludicrous leap to twist encouraging Democratic participation, calling your representative and showing up at town halls, into the insinuation of violence. The Republican Party's accusations are themselves dangerous. You see, it is not the Democrats who are dangerous for setting things ablaze. It is Republicans for noticing it. You see, that has been the Democratic mantra for quite some time in this country, that it's not the Democrats doing it that's the problem. It's you noticing that the Democrats are doing it that is the problem. And why is that? Well, it turns out that the Democratic brand is becoming increasingly more toxic. And that is not me saying it. That is not my opinion. That is the opinion of some of the leaders of their very party. That's the opinions of their very party. People like Gavin Newsom, people like many senators are out there saying that right now it is toxic to be a Democrat. But why would they think that? What have the Democrats done that would make people think that? He was Gavin Newsom on Bill Maher.
These guys are crushing us. The Democratic brand is toxic right now. We had a high water mark 2 weeks ago, and that was a CNN poll at 29% favorability. It's dropped in the NBC poll down to 27%. It's one thing to make noise, but you also have to make sense. And I think with this podcast and having the opportunity to dialogue with people I disagree with, it's an opportunity to try to find common ground and not take cheap shots. I'm not looking to put a spoke in the wheel of their, or at least a crowbar in the spokes of their wheel to trip them up, to your point. And I think it's important. Democrats, we tend to be a little more judgmental than we should be. This notion of cancel culture, you've been living it. You've been on the receiving end of it for years and years and years. That's real. And Democrats need to own up to that.
Now, obviously, Gavin Newsom out there making a play for the 2028 presidential nomination. I mean, I don't think anybody is, I don't think that comes as a shock to anybody. But is he right or is he wrong? Has the Democratic name become toxic? I believe it has. But they've done it to themselves. They have absolutely done it to themselves because they have not reined in their most radical people. When they're crazy people out there saying things, they will not condemn it. They will not condemn it. And in just a second, we're going to show you an absolutely vile comment. An absolutely vile comment by, of course, none other than Jasmine Crockett. Because nobody will put this lunatic in her place when she says absolutely disgusting things. Before we get to that, on the Sunday shows, a Democratic senator was asked about Gavin Newsom's comments about the toxic Democratic brand. Here's what he had to say.
Governor Gavin Newsom went so far as to say the Democratic brand is toxic right now. Senator, those are powerful words. Do you agree that the Democratic brand is toxic?
I do agree that the Democratic Party brand is really problematic, and I think that it is a brand that is, with all respect to my colleague from California, is associated with New York and with California, is associated with the educated elites in this country, and not anymore with working people in this country. You know, the good news is for the party, I think, is that Donald Trump is pursuing the same trickle-down economics that he pursued the first time he was president, to make sure that he can create again the tax cuts for the wealthiest people in the United States and pay for it by taking away health care from the American people. That's really bad for America.
Now, the problem with that is that normally that would be considered a rather measured response. The problem is that the Democrats have been the party who cried wolf for so long that they can't seem to get out of their own way. Trickle-down economics, something that has never been proposed by anyone. It's like a voodoo term. It's out there. It keeps coming back every once in a while, but it doesn't actually mean anything. Democrats will continue to lie to you and say that if everyone across the board gets a 5% tax cut, that somehow that is Donald Trump giving a tax cut to the rich. Well, I hate to break this to many people out there, but the rich are the ones who pay the majority of the taxes in this country. So much so that last year, Elon Musk and his companies paid the most taxes of anyone who has ever lived. Anybody who has ever lived. But that seems to not be enough. That seems to not be enough for Democrats. All right, Carolyn Levitt is speaking real quick. We are going to throw it to her. We'll be back in a second.
Questions from the media. Let's listen in.
The president get into the specifics of the announcement, but he has a brilliant team of trade advisors. You have Secretary Bessent, Secretary Lutnick, Jamieson Greer, our U.S. trade representative, Peter Navarro, of course, and Kevin Hassett here at the White House, Stephen Miller as well. The vice president has been deeply involved in these conversations. All of these individuals have presented plans to the president on how to get this done, and it's the president's decision to make, and we will not get ahead of him on the specifics of the announcement.
Stock market sell-off cause the White House to rethink any of these plans?
The president has always said that the stock market is a snapshot of a moment in time, and he's doing what's best for Main Street, and Wall Street will work out just fine in this administration, just like they did in their first term.
As you said last week, Caroline, you said there would be an investigation or a review into how Jeffrey Goldberg's number got on that group chat. What's the status of that review, and what is the status of National Security Advisor Mike Waltz?
As the president has made it very clear, Mike Waltz continues to be an important part of his national security team, and this case has been closed here at the White House as far as we are concerned. There have been steps made to ensure that something like that can obviously never happen again, and we're moving forward. And the president and Mike Waltz and his entire national security team have been working together very well. If you look at how much safer the United States of America is because of the leadership of this team.
On the tariffs, are there going to be sector-by-sector announcements this week at the event you're alluding to? Is it going to be focusing on sectors or more country-based tariffs?
The goal of Wednesday are country-based tariffs, but certainly sectoral tariffs. The president has said he's committed to implementing them, and I'll leave it to him on when he makes that decision and that announcement.
Caroline,
Sure.
Does President Trump still plan to talk to President Putin this week, and if so, when?
I don't have a readout for you on that call, but as always, we'll provide a readout. Usually the president likes to let you guys know first, especially for big calls like that. Steve?
Any exemptions for farmers being considered for these tariffs?
No exemptions at this time.
Caroline. The validation guide that DHS is using to determine who is an enemy alien, a Tren de Aragua member, and deportable under the Enemy Aliens Act, it has criteria here that require 8 points to be classified as a TDA member. You can get classified by simply having certain symbols in your tattoos and wearing certain streetwear brands. That alone is enough to get someone classified as TDA and sent.
That's not true, actually, Andrew.
According to this document, it is.
No, according to the Department of Homeland Security and the agents, have you talked to the agents who have been putting their lives on the line to detain these foreign terrorists who have been terrorizing our communities? TDA is a vicious gang that has taken the lives of American women. And our agents on the front lines take deporting these people with the utmost seriousness, and there is a litany of criteria that they use to ensure that these individuals qualify as foreign terrorists and to ensure that they qualify for deportation. And the president made it incredibly clear to the American public that there would be a mass deportation campaign of not just foreign terrorists, but also illegal criminal aliens who have been wreaking havoc on American communities. And shame on you and shame on the mainstream media for trying to cover for these individuals who have. This is a vicious gang, Andrew. This is a vicious gang that has taken the lives of American women.
The government filed in court, which says all.
And you said yourself there are 8 criteria on that document.
They need 8 points.
And you are questioning the credibility of these agents who are putting their life on the line to protect your life and the life of everybody in this group and everybody across the country. And their credibility should be questioned. They finally have a president who is allowing them to do their jobs, and God bless them for doing it.
Caroline, what method would the president use to potentially run for a third term? As he said, there are methods there.
Look, you guys continue to ask the president this question about a third term, and then he answers honestly and candidly with a smile, and then everybody here melts down about his answer. The president talked about this last night on the plane. He said, it's not really something we're thinking about. He has 4 years. There's a lot of work to do. We've done a lot in these nearly first 100 days, and the American people love what this president is doing, particularly when it comes to efforts to secure the border.
How confident is President Trump in that he can get a peace deal done in Ukraine? How confident is President Trump that he can get a peace deal done in Ukraine?
Well, look, the president is working incredibly hard to get a peace deal done between Russia and Ukraine, and he has expressed his displeasure with comments that have been made by leaders of both sides of this conflict. He has expressed what he believes needs to take place in order to see this conflict come to an end. He continues to work very hard on it, and our teams continue to be engaged.
Caroline, can countries that don't have tariffs on the US but may have other forms of non-tariff trade barriers, I'm thinking in my case of Australia, can they expect to be hit on in Wednesday's announcement, or can they expect to be left out and dealt with another time?
Again, I'll let the president make the announcement on Wednesday, but I think any country that has treated the American people unfairly should expect to receive a tariff in return on Wednesday.
Caroline, you talk about the European Union. Is the president expected to impose those tariffs in blocks, or will he distinguish countries within those trading blocks?
Again, I will let the president get into the specifics of the announcement. It's his announcement to make. It's going to be very exciting. We'll see you guys in the Rose Garden. And you will also hear directly from the president if you have any lingering questions. 5:30 this afternoon, or evening rather, although it's really afternoon for us. That's about midday for this president because he works all night. But he'll be signing an executive order. It will be the in-house pool in the Oval Office, and we'll see you all there. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline.
All righty, that was Carolyn Levitt taking questions from the press outside of the White House. It seems as though they've pushed back the executive order, the executive order signing, I should say, to what is that? 5:30 tonight. They have pushed that back a little bit from now. Sorry about that. Got a little tongue-tied there. Once again, guys, do me a favor and hit the thumbs up button. Share the video out all over the place. We are going to get more into the toxic Democrats in just 1 second. Before we do that, hit that thumbs up button. Share the video out all over the place as we are rocking and rolling here on the all-day stream. On the all-day stream here on LFA TV. Let's pop that live chat up onto the screen. Boom. There we go. There's the all-day one. Guys, do me a favor. Head on over to lfatv.us. That's lfatv.us. That's your home base, your mothership, your landing pad for all things LFA TV related. Check out the LFA TV store. And while you guys are there, consider becoming a monthly donor over at LFA TV. That's how we keep all these lights on over here at LFA. That's how we can keep bringing you the all-day show. The all-day show. Giddy up, let's go. I'm curious what you guys are thinking about it. I'm curious what you guys think about the all-day stream here, rumble.com/LFATV. I've got to make sure I say hello to Joe DeLeo, because if I don't, he's going to call me 75 times because he thinks that this show is dedicated directly to him. So, hi, Joe. I got to make sure that, you get your due because, there's not 15,000 people watching right now, but don't worry, Joe, just for you. Hey. Once again, guys, hit the thumbs up button. Tim Huff, what's happening, brother? CQ, how are you? Sagan, what's happening? Love the McGroin crew, as always. CQ's loving the all-day stream. I hope you guys like it. Some people had a difficult time jumping back and forth between the streams, so we decided to give you guys another option. Once again, guys, hit the thumbs up button, share that video out all over the place. So Democrats continue to be toxic. Up, down, left ways, and sideways, but they don't seem to understand why. Here was Bill Maher talking to Maureen Dowd about just how insane these people have become and why they've become so toxic. The problem is that they're not going to listen to people like him.
They just stopped being any fun. I mean, they made everyone feel that everything they said and did and every word was wrong. And people don't want to live like that, feeling that everything they do is wrong.
No. You think we're over that era? Do you think that?
No, I think,
right.
I mean, I think Democrats are just in a coma. They haven't figured out.
Right. But no, the woke are not giving up on that. I mean, we the Seven Dwarves movie just came out.
Oh, right.
And
there are no dwarves, right?
They fought about the dwarves. It's so funny. Though this is, again, one of my big problems with progressives. They're so stupid so often about things that they find their way back to something that's very unprogressive. Like you think getting jobs for people, very progressive. Not if you're a dwarf, because there are dwarves out there who wanted to play these parts who couldn't because it was somehow politically incorrect to portray dwarves as, I don't know, minors who know Snow White. It's a fucking crazy character that somebody invented for children. And you're arguing about whether it's right if real dwarves play dwarves. There are dwarves in the world. And there are jobs for them that you lost on there. And then Snow White loves Palestine. I wasn't going to see this movie anyway. But, that people who get their news from TikTok, just please shut the fuck up.
I mean, sorry for the language, but I can't take it out of the clip. But is he wrong? Democrats tend to become so progressive that they end up becoming regressive. Do you need any better option, any better example of this? You saw Gavin Newsom a little while ago say that some of these crazy people are really dragging us back. And one of those crazy people would be Jasmine Crockett, who basically pretty much just calls Byron Donalds and Uncle Tom. Why? Because he committed the most grave of sins. And what's that? Well, he married a white woman.
And if we continue to put people into office, and that even means some of our skinfolk who definitely are not our kinfolk, such as Byron Donalds, who are going to continue to say that, the fact that you sitting around talking about life was better under Jim Crow, is this because you don't understand history? or literally it's because you married a white woman and so you think that whitewashed you. I'm not really sure like what it is,
Well,
but
you
I
couldn't
need
even be married to a white woman under Jim
correct,
Crow.
correct. And it took Joy to call him out. So I'm like, bruh, like what are you talking about? Like what are you saying? Like he just out here, you know, I feel like they give him his talking points and he's like, yes, massa, I got it.
I mean, that's just disgusting. That's just vile stuff. First off, kinfolk, skinfolk, you know, this is the example of people who are so educated they've become idiots, okay? First off, nobody knows what the hell that means. But even if they did, who cares? Who cares that he married a white chick? Meanwhile, these are the exact same Democrats that will yammer on that Clarence Thomas wants to end interracial marriage in America. He wants to go back on the Virginia v. Lovett decision by the Supreme Court, even though Clarence Thomas is, of course, married to a white woman who they also absolutely find evil. I tell you what, there is no person in America, and this is this is actually a Chris Rock joke. No one in America hates interracial marriages more than black women. Go ask a black woman how she feels about Denzel Washington dating white chicks. Oh, that'll be a fun one. Meanwhile, you got Jasmine Crockett out there proudly proclaiming that she is going to be, quote, single for life. I can't imagine why.
This is what I say. I say you got hoodwinked, and that's okay. That's okay. Because as I was just telling somebody just a minute ago, I have dated in my life. I know they've been talking about whether or not I'm married and all this other stuff. I'm not married, never married, okay? Just want to get that out there. But I have dated. And I will say, any of us that have ever dated, we've been hoodwinked a time or two. Where we done sat there and we thought that he was going to be so great for us because he sold us on all the things, or her, okay? And then we realized they ain't shit. That's where we are. And that's okay. What matters is that you wake up and you say, this is not the one for me.
Oh, believe me, that's not the one for us. That's not the one for anybody. Jasmine Crockett, I have a feeling you being single for life, it's really not a choice. It's because you're vile. It's because you're one of the most obnoxious human beings that has ever lived. Gonna roll the dice on that one and say you being single is more because nobody wants you. Is more because nobody wants you. But you know what? Let her be the face of the Democratic Party. Let her be the future of the Democratic Party, because then we're going to keep getting more polls like this.
To mount a unified opposition to President Trump. Americans' favorable views of the Democratic Party's brand are at a record low, just 29%. That's compared to 36% for Republicans. It is the lowest ever recorded for Democrats in CNN polling going back more than 30 years. As you can see, the party's numbers dropping a staggering 20 points in just 4 years. The CNN SRSR's poll also found 57% of Democrats and Democratic-leaning voters are more interested in seeing their party leaders stop the GOP agenda, compared to 42% who are more interested in cutting bipartisan deals. It is a big shift from where the party stood at the start of Trump's first term in 2017. Now, this survey was taken before this week's tumultuous battle over funding the government, which resulted in one of the ugliest intra-party Democratic disputes in years, and left many in the party lobbying furious attacks at Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer, who ultimately reversed course and let a GOP bill funding the government become law in order to avert a shutdown. Now a bitter round of finger-pointing is taking shape after Democrats failed to get a single concession from the GOP, despite having their first piece of leverage to fight back against Trump. Now the big question, where does a party in deepening turmoil and in open warfare go from here?
I don't really care. I'm sitting back here eating popcorn, watching the Democrats destroy themselves. Because, excuse me, as we've seen over the course of the last several months, Democrats continuing to lose ground on with some of the constituents that they have needed the most. Blacks, Hispanics, immigrants, Jews, young people, Muslims. They all continue to lose support. Not to say so much that the GOP is gaining support amongst these people. But Democrats continue to lose their support. Why? Because they are unable to rein in their most radical people. There are Democrats who are just unable to go out there and say that, rubbing dog shit on the side of a Cybertruck is probably not a good idea. There are people out there, in the Democratic Party unwilling to say that setting things on fire is not a good way to operate. But people are starting to take notice of it. In just a minute, we're going to show you two immigrants calling out these radical Tesla protesters to their face. Because nothing says privileged white person more than boycotting an American company. Boycotting American workers. So progressive, they've become regressive. In just a second, we're going to show you that. Before we do that, Mike Lindell.
I'm excited to announce that we're having our first ever mega sale on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save over 50% on this season's flannel sheets. Queen size only $59.98. Kings only $69.98. They sell out fast every year, so order now. Save 20% on our brand new My Crosses. They're designed in the likeness of the one I've worn every day for over 20 years. They come in men's and women's, and they're made right here in the USA. Get our 2025 six-piece My Towel sets for only $29.98. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. And our best-selling standard My Pillows, just $14.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our first ever mega sale. But wait, remember that $75 free shipping rule? Well, that ship is sale because right now, every order ships absolutely free.
Guys, head on over to MyPillow.com. Promo code LOUD. That's MyPillow.com. Promo code LOUD for up to 80% off everything on the website. That's MyPillow.com. Promo code LOUD. So as I said, Democrats continuing to lose the people that they used to have. Now it seems as though the only people Democrats can really hold on to are rich white people. And I hate to break this to you, Democrats, there simply are not enough of those. You see, what Democrats thought they would do following the election of Barack Obama, they called it the ascendant of the dispossessed. What Democrats thought they could do was cobble together as many minority groups as humanly possible in order to become a voting majority. But Democrats got so radical, they got so insane, that the people that they thought were on their side continue to drift further and further away from them. Here are two immigrants to America, one from Israel and one from England, a married couple, shutting down rich white ladies who want to complain about Elon Musk.
How stupid can they be? At least 50% of them are using Airbnb. Isn't Airbnb part of Dodge too? He's one of the people. How many of them are going to stay next weekend at Airbnb? This is the most stupid group of people I've ever seen. What Elon Musk is doing for this country is saving it so people can have Social Security 10 years from now.
I believe you said they're going to have more.
What?
More Social Security. You just announced that.
Absolutely.
Ma'am, where are you from?
I'm originally from Israel, and my husband is from England.
Yeah, I'm from England,
We immigrated to this wonderful country 40 years ago, and we are proud American, and Elon is a proud American. He's saving this country, and these people are stupid. Each one of them, about a year ago, was driving their Tesla, their environmentally correct Tesla,
Suddenly it's not environmentally correct.
Suddenly it's not environmentally correct to drive a Tesla. How stupid can you be?
Also, I'd like to add to this, the people who call Musk a Nazi have no idea what a Nazi is. A Nazi is somebody who tries to kill Jews.
I know who Nazis are. I'm Jewish. I know, but I
wasn't talking to you. Can I speak?
I don't know what Nazis are. Half these people are Jewish. I know. My family died in the Holocaust. So don't tell me I don't know what Nazis are. Who knows what a Nazi is?
See, this is exactly what they try to do. They try to shut you down while you're making a few points. But let me carry on. So first of all, Musk is a visionary. America is lucky to have such a talented guy as Musk. Also, the idea that he's cutting back down on government inefficiency and fraud. Clearly, there's a huge amount of... See, this is what they're like. Yeah,
I mean, hold on real quick. I'm sorry. I can't take your protest seriously if you're going to walk around in a damn dinosaur costume behind with a boycott. I'm sorry, a big blue dinosaur. I don't know. I can't take that seriously.
They're shouting a Disrupt song.
Yeah, they can't handle the fact that somebody's getting some facts out here.
So, sir, I'm going to give you a...
By the way, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to these guys. Musk is... People should be very glad to have Musk here. He's a great guy. And these guys are pretty much crazies. I would say they're very, very crazy.
And you're an immigrant. They're shouting at an immigrant right now.
Yeah, I am an immigrant. I'm proud of America. And I'm proud of Elon Musk. He's a great guy. And the fact that he's doing this for no money at all, Musk is a hero for America.
I'm sorry, just how do you take that guy in the back seriously, okay? You got the one guy wearing like the Vietnamese rice paddy farmer hat and another guy dressed in a dinosaur costume. Like, first off, it must have been so hot in that thing, that guy must have been sweating his ass off. That's number one. But number two, how is one supposed to... Why would anyone take that guy seriously? Why would any of them take anything seriously? And the funny part about the entire thing is that guy from England, he knows what he left. Because the radical socialist that is now running the UK, and we're going to get to the utter calamity going on in Europe right now, particularly in France, in just a second. But over the weekend, English Prime Minister Keir Starmer literally went out and said that we say it all the time, there's a two-tier justice system in America. Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister of the UK, straight out said it. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's not from the deep wells of the internet. It's not connecting dots that may not be there. He straight up said that if you are a white man, you will be charged more harshly than anybody else in the United Kingdom.
Sir Keir Starmer and Shabana Mahmood, who is the Justice Secretary, and saying, I'm afraid to say, these are what's going to happen. And from Tuesday, this is what will happen. Judges will prepare pre-sentencing reports when necessary. And if someone is of ethnic, cultural or faith minority, or a young person under 25, or a woman or a pregnant woman, they will get a special sentencing report. Normally those pre-sentencing reports do mean that the sentence is mitigated, that time is taken off for a jail term, for example. What it means, though, is that white men are going to be treated a lot tougher by judges from Tuesday compared to other groups in society.
I mean, they're just saying it. They're just coming right out and saying it. And this comes as the leader. I mean, this is not going to come as a shock to any of our American friends here. This will not come as a shock to any of them. But let's see if this rings a bell to anybody. It turns out the person ahead in the polls, you ready for this? Tell me if this sounds familiar. The person in France who is leading in the polls to become the next prime minister of France has just been thrown in prison and barred from running for office. Does that sound familiar to anybody? Marine Le Pen, who plans on running for the French presidency in 2027, was dealt a fatal blow on Monday after she was found guilty of embezzling European Parliament funds and deemed ineligible to stand for election for the next 5 years. That timing seems pretty interesting. First off, and I want to be clear, anybody who knows anything about the European Union, embezzling funds, that's literally what the European Union is. That's why Nigel Farage tried so hard to get the UK to leave the European Union, because all it is one embezzlement fund. Given surging support for the National Front Party, in 2027, she has been widely held as a potential breakthrough moment for her populist and anti-immigration agenda. And several polls show her as a strong contender to accede Emmanuel Macron in the Élysée Palace. I think that's where the Prime Minister lives. I don't know. The decision would appear to open the door for Jordan Bardella, the National Front president and Le Pen's heir apparent, to become the flag bearer for the far right and run for the presidency. Of course, Marie Le Pen is not far right. She is just on the right. But this comes as a spate of right-wing populists all across the European Union have become barred from running for office. Why do I say this? Because there is normally a saying in global politics that when Europe sneezes, America catches a cold. Whatever happens in Europe first will eventually come to America in the next 5 to 10 years. Why? Because Europe does not have the same sort of governmentally restrictive laws that America has. First Amendment, Second Amendment, things like that. They don't have the idea of federalism in the way that we do. So they will always have a more far-reaching government in many of our European allies. France sentencing the person in line to be the president to prison and barring her from running for office for 5 years. That's interesting. Marie Le Pen, of course, is widely known as the Trump of France. It's not going to be long before they do that to other political figures across all of Europe. Of course, this article is from Politico, so we get our left-wing bias here. Bardella and other far-right figures in France and across Europe were quick to condemn the action, like Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban. Even weighed in before Le Pen's sentence was announced. Vladimir Putin came out and said that it was ridiculous. Matteo Salvini, the deputy prime minister of Italy, also came out. And you see what they do there? I love how Politico does this. Let me pop this on the screen so you can see how they just sort of meld these things together like you're not supposed to notice. Right here. We throw in Viktor Orban, and then we throw in the Kremlin, and then we throw in Matteo Salvini. Now, none of these people have anything to do with the Kremlin, but we've got our Russia, 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 everything we don't like. Democrats get a Democrat. That's simply what they do. But there is still good news. There is still good news coming out all over the place for President Trump and his deportation policy. There's great news coming out on the economic front with 144 Japanese companies planning to invest in the United States. We'll get to that in 1 second. Before we do that, Old Glory Bank.
When big banks decide who gets access to America's financial systems and who doesn't, who do you think gets left out? Middle Americans who proudly wave their pro-America values. Cancel culture in banking is corrosive. It limits your participation in a vibrant, free market economy. Fortunately, you can fight back. You now have the opportunity to invest in the bank that's investing in a fair American banking system, one based in freedom. Ownership in Old Glory Bank, the pro-America online bank, is here. Old Glory Bank is a full-service FDIC-insured bank that's the alternative to overreaching, un-American big banks. We stand for privacy, security, and liberty. We stand for freedom, family, faith, and the flag. We stand for all the values you stand for, and for the values big banks can't stand. So help keep banking in the hands of Main Street, not Wall Street. To invest in Old Glory Bank, go to oldglorybank.com.
Guys, head on over to oldglorybank.com. That's oldglorybank.com. Support the movement. Support those supporting the parallel economy over there at oldglorybank.com. Check out their competitive CD interest rates. While this is not financial advice for the lawyers out there, I would highly, if I were me, I would have CDs lock in those interest rates while they can. I'm just saying that would be what I would do. That's what I would do. Guys, hit that thumbs up button. Once again, share the video out all over the place. I'm liking everybody coming in on the multi-show, on the live show today, live on air. I want to welcome in everybody who's first time it may be watching this show. I want to welcome all of you in. So shout out to each and every one of you in the chat. Giddy up, let's go. So, as I said, more good news on the economic front, as 144 Japanese companies now say they are planning to avoid President Trump's tariffs by opening shop here in America.
Based on your research, it sounds like President Trump's tariffs are one of the factors here.
Yeah, Didi, they definitely play a part. A new survey from a Japan-based news agency polled executives at 144 major Japanese corporations, and around 30% said they were expanding their operations in the U.S., and another 20% said they were exploring options for expansion.
So President Trump's 25% tariffs on imported cars and car parts, that is expected to start next week. So tell us about, though, the changes that we're actually already seeing with regards to foreign automakers making ahead of this.
Yeah, so according to a list released by the White House, which they got from reporting by Reuters, Honda will be producing its new Civic Hybrid in Indiana instead of Mexico. Also, Hyundai Motor and Stellantis have announced their plans to set up shop here too.
It's almost like y'all ready for this? When you tariff foreign products, companies don't want to pay the tariffs, so they open up shop in America. It's almost like that's what us, the more isolationist, the anti-free trade right, that would be me, have been saying for years. You want to avoid tariffs and make your stuff in America. This should not be complicated. This should not be complicated at all. Why? Well, Honda, which of course is trying to get its market cap up in the EV markets, now finds out that the single biggest economy in the world is going to subject them to tariffs, making Teslas more affordable on the global stage. Well, what are they going to do? Well, obviously, naturally, they're now going to build it in Indiana. What does this do for the American worker? It gives the American worker options. And let's use those two companies as an example. If you're working at Tesla and you're making $100,000 a year, we'll use round numbers, and Honda opens up a plant down the road in the Motor City, in Wisconsin, Ohio, and they're willing to give you, let's say, $100,000 to relocate, $50,000 to relocate, and a pay raise. That is how markets raise wages without having to impose a burdensome federal minimum wage on the country. Because the minimum wage is, and I want to be clear about this, the stupidest rule that has ever existed in the history of left-wing economics. Why? Because let's say we use the Bernie Sanders model, $15 an hour. We need $15 an hour minimum wage. Why does that not make any sense? Because if you live in Chicago, New York, LA, Miami, $15 an hour doesn't get you anything. But if you live in Alabama, Mississippi, Kansas, $15 an hour would close every small business. It doesn't make any sense. You want to raise state minimum wages? Okay. All right, now at least we're getting closer to the idea. How do I know that? Because when minimum wages get raised in places like Seattle, small businesses close. The problem is that $20 an hour in Seattle still doesn't get you an apartment. Why? Because burdensome regulation and burdensome zoning laws make it not worth it for people to build. If you live on Long Island, you might know what I'm talking about. The same people who complain there's nowhere to live complain when people build places to live. Why? Because certain people will just find anything to bitch and moan about. certain people will just find anything to bitch and moan about. But one thing people can't complain about is loudmajorityusa.com. Did you see what I just did there? That's how you transition. Now, that's how you transition. Guys, head on over to loudmajorityusa.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Check out our shop. If you guys want, you can go over there and pick up the We the People Are Back t-shirt, which, obviously, We the People are back. Giddy up, let's go. We the People Are Back t-shirts, or if you are in the more festive season, you can pick up the Make Easter Great Again shirt with a hilarious bunny directly on the front. Oh, yeah. Whoever made that design is probably awesome and in the middle of a toothache right now. So, feel better. Feel better. Or, guys, you can check out all of that good stuff over there. Also, anybody who picks up anything to look at this. Obviously, this model is a little bit better looking than me, but there's the We the People Are Back t-shirt. There's the We the People Are Back one. Check those out today, guys. Go to loudmajorityusa.com. And for anybody who orders anything today, you will get a free Loud Majority USA decal with your order. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You get a free decal. Show everybody we are no longer the silent majority, but we are the loud majority. So one more lift, one more little pick-me-up before we close out the day. It turns out that no matter what Democrats try to do, no matter what Democrats try to say, everybody loves Donald Trump's deportation policy, with 58% of voters saying they want it, baby. A majority of Americans support Donald Trump's approach to deportation. According to CBS News YouGov, 58% of Americans approve Donald Trump's administration's program to deport illegal immigrants who are in the United States. Support for Trump's deportation efforts have held steady in recent weeks as Americans remain generally supportive of the plans. The vast majority of Americans agree that federal judges should be allowed to review Trump's policies. However, this comes as several judges have implemented legal roadblocks that hinder the Trump administration from carrying out its desired efforts. Deportation efforts. While 59% of Republicans support impeaching federal judges who rule against the president's policies, most Democrats and independents oppose such measures. Look, I just don't think a district court judge in Washington, D.C. ought to have the power to overrule deportations coming from Colorado. That seems ridiculous. That seems insane. That seems like something that probably should not be happening. It's called judge shopping, and it needs to stop. It needs to stop because, quite frankly, this is what these liberal ACLU lawyers will do. People that live in Texas, the ACLU, or the Southern Poverty Law Center in Alabama, will file a claim, a court case against the Trump administration in Washington, D.C., where all the judges are radically liberal, or in Massachusetts or in New York, and there will be a very... You should have to file the lawsuit in the place in which you live. That's not really hard to do. That's not really a difficult concept. It's not really a difficult concept. Guys, on the way out the door, oh, look, Will Johnson just popped up. Very good. Very, very good stuff, guys. On the way out the door, guys, stay tuned for Will Johnson coming up next here on this network. I want to thank everybody so much for tuning in. I want to thank everybody for keeping it locked in here to LFA TV all day. Guys, we'll catch you back live tomorrow. Until then, everybody, stay loud.